Wow. Song ended. Sorry about that. Hang on just a second. I'm going
It
to play one
happens.
song, and then we're going to talk to some people visiting.
It's like
Thank
the
you
death
so
of
much.
the
We just
song.
got a visit from Black Rock Vineyards. You guys rock. Thank you so much. This is DJ Apollo, Professor Beep, many special guests. Come by and say hi on this Temple Sunday. A lot of people heading out, a lot of people making their little final rounds before they pack. This is the Pogues, Sick Bed of Cuchulainn, because, you know, sometimes you get better.
McCormick and Richard Tauber are singing by the bed. There's a glass of punch below your feet and an angel at your head. There's devils on each side of you with bottles in their hand. You need one more drop of poison and you'll dream of foreign lands. When you pissed yourself in Frankfurt and got sipped out in Cologne, and you heard the rattling death trains as you lay there all alone. Frank Ryan bought you whiskey in a brothel in Madrid, and you take some fucking black shirt who was cursing all the yids. And a sick bit of Cuchulainn will kneel and say a prayer, but the ghosts are rattling at the door and the devil's in the chair. In the Euston Tavern, you screamed it was your shell, but I wouldn't give you service, so you kicked the windows out. They took you out into the street, kicked you in the brains, so you went back in through a bolted door and did it all again. And a sick bit of Cuchulainn will kneel and say a prayer, and the ghosts are rattling at the door and the devil's in the chair. Hey! Remember that foul evening when you heard the banshees howl? There was lazy, drunken bastards singing Billy in the Bowl. They took you up to midnight mass and left you in the lurch. So you dropped a button in the plate and spewed up in the church. Now you sing a song of liberty for blacks and packs of jocks, and I'll take you from this dump you're in and stick you in a box. Then I'll take you to Cookbriar and shove you in the ground. We'll stick your head back out and shout, we'll have another round. At the great side of Cuchulainn, we'll kneel around and cry, and God is in his heaven, and Billy's down by the bay. Yeah!
All right, I don't have a song queued up, so I guess we're going to talk. It's
What do you mean by
12:22.
This is all carefully planned.
Well, I actually made a playlist this year, so that's more planned than normal. You're listening to DJ Apollo on BMIR.org, voice of the Ghost Man. Wind effects. Can you do some spooky wind effects?
I don't think they need wind effects outside. I think they have some of those.
Well, you know, there's people listening on the internet. They're in their
Okay,
house or
they
something.
need wind
Yeah.
effects.
Ghost Man. Anyway, this is the annual Songs About Death show because it is Temple Sunday and we like to think about death and stuff. Or at least I do. Other people not so much. They probably
It's
just
important.
some people will just put on the dubstep and not worry about it.
No,
But
it's-
that's not me though.
It is one of the big things you do in life.
It is.
It's a good thing to keep in mind.
It is. Temple, as we've said, burning at 8 o'clock tonight, so people who need to leave early can. Road is clear now. I've had a couple people ask me, what happens if we leave now? If you leave now, you will drive out of the city, and it will be slow getting out of the gate road only because it is a long road and you have to drive slow, and man, is it in bad shape in places. There's a few places where the road is really, really dangerous. So if you are thinking of leaving now, just be careful because it's had weeks of just bumpity, and the road getting rougher and rougher as more and more people go on it, and then it gets wet down, and then the bumps solidify, and then more dust comes, and it's tricky in places. So just remember that if you are leaving now. And let's see, I don't know if there's any. Oh, we had somebody came in, wanted to remind folks. Speaking of loss, if you found something that you want to give to Lost and Found, please bring it in now. Don't wait till tomorrow because there are people leaving. And there are people kind of freaking out because they lost their camera or their wedding ring or their car keys or whatever.
So sooner is better.
Yeah, sooner is better. So if you have anything that you think needs to be taken to Playa Info and Lost and Found, please do it now. Not tomorrow, not tonight. Do it now. This is a song by a very old friend of mine, a good friend of mine who passed on a few years ago. His name was Jordan Berlant, one of the most talented people I ever met. He was an amazing actor. He was an amazing singer and songwriter. And he got taken away at around age 30 or 32 or so. He died after he moved to New York, so I did not hear about his passing until it had already happened. But I got a CD of his that he made just soon before he died, after he was diagnosed with whatever type of cancer he got. It was the same type that got Joey Ramone, and I have to admit, I'm sad to say, I'm blanking on the type. It's a stranger's death. No one here, I expect, maybe one or two random people, it's possible, would know who I'm talking about. But, the odds are no. Oh, you want to know something really frickin' melancholy?
I do.
So the one person who I could think of who is a burner who would know Jordan's name was a mutual friend of ours. We were all good friends back in high school and immediately post high school. His name was Mike McLaughlin. I ran into him at random a couple years ago at Burning Man, and we had a wonderful visit and catching up on old times. And then he drowned in Mexico in a snorkeling accident like 3 months after I saw him. So the only burner I could think of who was likely to know of Jordan also has died, and that's just...
Add to the ghosts out here.
That's really... There's a lot of ghosts out here, and that's one of the reasons why I do this show is because... because I think that stuff needs to be attended to and honored and whatnot. And so to most of you, this is just a stranger. But, when you go out to the temple, there's a temple full of strangers, and they're all incredibly important to somebody. And that's one of the reasons why I love the temples, because that brings that home so well, is how incredibly important to somebody. This is Jordan Berlant. I Just Want to Ravish You Under a Tree, off of his album, Born to Be Revealed.
Lately I've been thinking maybe we should stick together. This could be a good thing. I don't see it ending. I know there will be troubles. I can be misunderstood. What about the furniture? What about your imagination? can make it, and I knew it would be good from the moment you turned to me and said, I just want to ravish you under a tree. Now with the sun as my witness. Hey la, hey la, hey la, hey la, hey. Hey la, hey la, hey la, hey la, hey, hey. Lately I've been thinking, why don't you and I get married? I think it's time, we got so much to live for. I know other folks have fallen, troubles coming to a head. I've seen the good loving fall by the wayside, but I know that we can make it, and I knew that it'll be good. Sometimes I look at you and my God, what are we waiting for? I just want to ravish you under a tree. Now with the sun is my witness, I just want to ravish you under a tree. Now with the sun is my witness. Life, we all have an idea how we want it to be, and I know things don't always work out as planned, but I have faith that the good Lord above will provide. You and me, we deserve everything. Life, I have an idea how we want it to be, and I know things don't always work out as planned, but I have faith that the good Lord above will provide. You and me, girl, we deserve everything. Hey la, hey la, hey la, hey la, hey. Hey la, hey la, hey la, hey la, hey.
Goodbye, stranger. I say goodbye. On the road to nowhere, to the final country where everyone is welcomed in, where nothing needn't know your origin. Farewell, sir, without papers, without identity. What were you looking for? How much did you lose along the way? Who stares through the empty window, waits? Nameless man, wait while I speak and entrust my empty words to this empty room. I am too late. You I never knew. Not at your weakest, not in your strength, not in the final country where you are greeted without name. I don't know the words you spoke, not me. Who then loved you? In which rooms did you sleep? Who kissed you goodnight? Who will wear out your shirt? Who will want to stand where you once stood? Who now takes the road you took? Who still looks for you? Who remembers whence you came? Who heard the voice calling out for you to come on home, man, to your final haven, this city?
All right, we're on live with
David Houle.
here on Burning Man Alternative Visionary Future Radio.
And David Houle here is a futurist, and I've been blessed with meeting my co-person here, Dr. Bruce Damer, And if first impressions are accurate, I've met one of the wiser people I've ever met, and that's why you come to Burning Man.
Yeah, David, it's wonderful to have you here as a virgin this year. And you've seen one of the best Burning Mans ever. You're seeing it. Some of the most incredible tech. We are sitting right now in the webcasting building or shipping container or hut. Perfect new facility where gigabit webcasting Ethernet will be going via mobile unit from special events all over the playa. And this is streaming out now to you folks out there in Playa listener land.
And one of the wonderful things about that, as you and I have spoken about, Bruce, is the necessity from a humanistic point of view for Burning Man to counterbalance all the technological intrusion we have. And the fact that it can come together, I think, is very remarkable, because this needs to go out through the technology into the larger world.
And Burning Man itself, I mean, its moniker is radical self-expression. And today we went out on our mobile unit and we went to Fractal Nation Camp, which is founded by Android Jones, and that's the front edge of youth culture, live painting, just a tremendous burst of energy of the teens, 20s into 30-somethings, and that's a big event tonight at 8:30 starting. And then we have, if you zoom across the playa, you have one of the most beautiful camps ever made at Burning Man, Sacred Spaces Village, which you are a member of.
Yes, I'm a member of it, and it is absolutely beautiful. And the interesting thing is that there's a lot of connectivity between the young people who go to Fractal Nation and come to Sacred Spaces, which I find beautiful. And also, tomorrow at sunrise, I'm going to be interviewing Mar, who designed that space. He'll be up all night on the playa, and he's going to come in, and we're going to talk about his vision for that. So, but it's really interesting that the techno cutting-edge youth is also coming over to Sacred Spaces, and it's going back and forth. To me, that's a resonance of great interest.
Yeah, and of course, Sacred Spaces has all the yoga traditions, Western and Eastern. It has spiritual traditions. Sacred Spaces Village is more about alchemical gold and dubstep, trance, the whole bit, and incredible arts. And yet, as you pointed out, they're going between those worlds, and they feel comfortable moving between those worlds.
And what I have done every day, I do it every day from 10 to 11 at Sacred Spaces Village, is I lead a conversation about the future, because I speak to the default world, and so I'm taking the kind of the alchemist language and using that to help people open up to the future, because most people are either scared of the future, personalize about the future, and they don't know what to think. So I'm getting them into the present to open up and think about it, and that's what Burning Man does. Of course, it takes you down to your essentials.
And I know you've been leading sessions. You did one this morning on visioning the future, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And you did the audience had a lot of input.
Yeah, they did. I kind of get people into the present, give them kind of a context of what I see about the future, and open them up basically to the reality that everybody has a point of view, whatever it is. I'm a Republican, I'm a technologist, I'm a whatever, and that is a filter that limits you seeing the world clearly. So if you have a point of view, at least own where it came from, and if you can't own it, let it go, because if you come from a point of view, you can't see the future clearly.
And so, in a sense, these so-called culture wars, which truthfully are more inventions of, self-interested and fairly destructive media types, and politicians and religious leaders, not the ordinary person on the street who in America is friendly and will help you out and, make you a hot dog in any time. So that's a fabrication. And when you come to Burning Man, that melts away. I mean, this place not only it dissolves the boundaries between, races, people, but it basically ideologies and manic media reporting on the gloomy reporting on the state of the world does not penetrate here. So people are free from that for a week or two. And that's an enormous relief for them. But it's one of the few places on the planet where you can actually be free.
Absolutely.
From the pall of that grid that is laid upon you.
And what it brings to mind, I speak about memes to movements, and that Occupy Wall Street was the single unprecedented event in human history where 75 people in one place, in one city, demonstrated, and 1 month later, over 100,000 people in 2,500 cities in 83 countries showed up. So it was a meme to a movement. And when that mainstream media that wants to be confrontational said, well, who's your leader? The answer was, we have none. Well, what's your issue? Pick one. Well, what's your organization? We're completely flat as the net is. That's what Burning Man is also.
Yeah, and Burning Man's a creature of the net because it grew in the era of the web. I mean, it started out here before. It started on Baker Beach in San Francisco in '86 and moved out here in '90. But as the web grew, you could have an emergent phenomenon. So Burning Man sort of built from the bottom up, not the top down. So people apply. This is U-shaped city of now 61,900 souls have come this year, and the city is laid out starting with a single piece of rebar that's hammered into the ground, I think in July. And then they start measuring from there, and they lay out the U shape of the street pattern and then where the art is going to go. And I think it's about 20 square miles in total area. And then what people do is apply for positions, and they got their art grant, or they apply for a theme camp for the Esplanade, and they kind of jostle around. But what you see is the map gradually fill up with traditional camps, new camps, etc. And then people pour in here and build this fabricated temporary city of complete whimsy, no commercial sales, no proselytizing of any kind, and it's a place where you can make eye contact with anybody. And we come from places like New York, Los Angeles, and whatnot. This is an eye contact town here.
It really is.
It really is. Yeah.
Well said. I have more eye contact of a deep lock-in sort than I've had in any other place on the planet. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the permission is there, and you basically yesterday we had Tutu Tuesday. Now of course
what was that?
It's a day to wear a tutu.
Oh, tutu. Okay.
Tutu. So, if you're a strapping 28-year-old male with a bare top wearing a pink tutu, there's nothing that's going to make you more embarrassing or ridiculous than that. And it's all fine because it's Tutu Tuesday and everyone should wear a tutu. And there's a tutu camp that hands them out. And so all these guys are wearing these things. There's a French maid camp where they will kit you out to be a French maid. So all these, structured roles of machoism in society and the corporate executive in the Brooks Brothers suit, all that just falls away here, and people experiment with costuming and with, everything. They just let their hair down, literally, even if they don't have much. But they experiment and push the limits of what it is to be human. And what happens as a result is people who come back from this event say, hey, you know what? I didn't know much about gays, for example, but now I grok cross-dressing, even though I'm not gay. I grok the thrill of it. So I accept it.
Right, and I find that it's a total open acceptance. I think anybody that ever comes to Burning Man will be a changed person going away in terms of acceptance. And that's why it's so important. It's so wonderful. And as a virgin, but also as a futurist, I come here and I just feel the importance of that, and at the same time experiencing the beauty of that. This must migrate out, which is so great that this is being streamed live. It really is. And by the way, Bruce said, for those that don't have much hair, I don't have much hair. Bruce has beautiful long hair. I think that's what he said that, because he was looking at a basically bald-headed guy here.
Well, I'm sure my hair, I'm just turned 50 and I'll soon have little of it left. I'm making the best of it. But we can talk about something else, which is this year's Playa has a record number of talks about science, spirituality, politics, money, economy, arts, you name it. And we started this trend in 2003 with our Palenque Norte speaker series, and it exploded. And now you have a book of speaker So it's become a conference.
Absolutely.
It's a conference on the order of a TED conference, a full TED conference here with the quality of speakers. And there is a TEDx here on tomorrow,
Oh, really?
a real TEDx.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in Sacred Spaces Villages, and I could spend all day there with the workshops and the talks that are going. It's really, the way I said it yesterday in my session was, for this week, this is the Renaissance on the planet. There is no more of a Renaissance place than Burning Man when Burning Man is on. In fact, it is probably arguably the example of the Renaissance, which was open discovery, recollection, rebirth of any place in the world.
And then one of the great things about Burning Man is its place of perspective. Not only the perspective of humanity by taking yourself out of the grind of freeway shopping malls and cubicles, but it's the visual perspective of the place where it's laid out in a cross pattern. I call it a transept, which is the structure of a cathedral that goes out to the man, and the arms go out on either side, and the mountains are in the distance, but it's incredible perspectives. It reminds me of a Giotto or a early Italian Renaissance, where they had figured out how to do perspective, and they were now experimenting with, here is the arch at the end of the hall of Firenze, right. And then now we can we see the arch for the end. They were experimenting all that time, and those paintings look just like the art pieces here.
And what struck me yesterday, funny you should say that, I was doing a sunrise bike ride across the playa with all the great art, and what came to me was the morning I got up before dawn and walked to Stonehenge. And when, of course, it was in England and it was all foggy, but when the fog cleared, there was this permanence of beauty. And you contrast that with the beauty of impermanence here, the acceleration of the speed of time, creativity of a moment, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, but the most incredible, beautiful art in a physical setting I have ever seen, day and night.
And none of these artists have training. They're not part of the professional art world. We go to the Whitney Biennale in New York and all that stuff, and now when we go to these so-called modern art shows, when we go to the one in Madrid, this stuff looks pallid compared to what's here. And these artists are just basically with welding torches in warehouses in Oakland and in New York and in New Orleans, and they're making phenomenal pieces that totally outshine and outbest anything in an art museum. Yeah. And then they burn them. If it's metal, they're not going to, but these monumental pieces are some of the finest modern art, but it's outside of this strictured, politicized art world. Exactly.
To me, it's transformative art. It's visionary art, as opposed to what you're saying, which is iterative art of the next genre that has been kind of manufactured as an extension of the past product. This is transformative and visionary, nothing less than that.
And the commercial art is just designed to appeal to a market, a buyer. This is designed to actually move people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see people. Myself, I'm riding, going to a place, and I see something, and I just go over there and stop and stand and open up to it. That's the beauty of this. I said to somebody this morning, why didn't you come and meet me there? I said, hey, I got lost. There is no better place in the world to get lost at than Burning Man, particularly at night, And
the great thing about Burning Man is you're waiting for the porta potty, the Johnny on the spot toilet.
Right.
And someone gives you a wink, and that starts a conversation. You've just met some amazing person, and it happens all the time. You knock somebody's bike over, and you're polite enough to lift it back up again. They come out, and then you have a conversation, and then that changes your life because you've just met somebody amazing.
Well, we've spoken about, I believe that there's an evolutionary shift coming in consciousness, and that's the beginning of it. When you come here, choosing to remain open, choosing to be aware, I think that's the anticipatory preparation that allows that to happen. We're going to be who we are, and we're going to be open, and we're going to be aware, and that's why that happens.
That's why that happens, and as the week goes on, people stop. They become less. They're no longer pallid either, and they're covered with fly dust, and their skin is getting brown. The vitamin D is flowing, and they are now in the groove, and they're in a collective, you could call it a collective high. You don't need to be taking drugs here. You just need to be here. And you are lifted upon the wafts of this exhilaration, the levity and the release from the pounding down external, psychologically external world. And so, and you think about, to our horror, there are few places in the modern human civilization where this can happen.
Right.
And it's a real shame because we are losing out.
Yeah, it is a feeling of liberation that I think people feel on different levels. Some people come here and they feel liberated sexually. Right now I'm feeling liberated from a vision point of view, in part from our interactions. But it's this liberation that in the default world you only see when there's a political revolution. People obtain freedom. They have to fight for it. Here it's being given. But listen, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Bruce. And thank you.
And we'll do more, David. And we're just hoping this is a nice interlude on top of the webcast. And we'll give people out there who are just anonymously piping in a sense of what this is all about. And so we thank Bill, we thank John Graham, and the whole team here at the Webcasting Studio for letting us produce this little piece.
Amen to that.